In this video, I analyze the Arkham Knight's reveal in Batman Arkham Knight. Hope you guys enjoy. At 8, we got 1 minute and 40 seconds to get through, so let's just get straight into it.
Turn around.
Ooh, sinister. What is it, 3 seconds in? Let's go. If you listen to the tone that the Arkham Knight, or Jason, as you'll see in a minute, is using, to me personally, I think it kind of sounds like a mix between relief, disbelief, and pain. Because you can hear how it kind of quivers. He's like, turn around. It's kind of shaky. It's really great direction with the camera as well, because it revolves round from that third-person perspective we have most of the game. It shows us a close-up of Bruce face first, facing the camera, so we, the former players, now the viewers, can see, understand, and digest his facial expressions during this scene, and the realization that, wait, that's the voice of the Arkham Knight behind me, and I have to free this guy, but like, what if he gets me from behind? What is he gonna do? So he has to kind of turn around slowly, as he does in a minute, to not alarm him in any way, so that Jason might just open fire and kill him, because he knows where to shoot. That's the thing, that's the dread that he gets, because he knows exactly where the Arkham Knight's gonna shoot him, and that it's probably gonna be fatal. Since he's done it before, why won't he do it again now, when his back is turned? And you can also kind of sense that little bit of conflict in Bruce's mind right now. He has to save Gordon, he has to finish untying those knots, but then again, he's got to defend himself. And if you think about it right now, he's defending Gordon because he is in front of him, so if a bullet goes, it's going to hit him, Bruce, and not Gordon, which is a good thing because he wants to protect him. So there's a bit of conflict there where it's like, should I turn around and face him, or should I just keep my back turned and untie Gordon? And if he does shoot, I'll die and I'll be the hero and I'll save him, and then Gordon has a chance to get away. Because obviously Bruce doesn't know much about the Arkham Knight. Even by this point, he just knows that he's very crafty and he knows a lot about him. He's very knowledgeable. So to him, Bruce, he's thinking, oh god, what has he got up his sleeve now? You don't know because he's so unpredictable. Batman is insanely intelligent, but right now he realizes that this guy is on a similar level only reached to previously by the likes of Riddler, who only utilizes that intelligence to outsmart Batman in very confusing ways using his riddles. So really, Bruce understands this, that the Arkham Knight is like Riddler if he was more inclined to dominate and destroy, which, as I'm sure the entire community knows, would be a terrible situation. Which this is. He's got an entire militia filling Gotham. He's gathered an army and he's trained them to outsmart Batman, each and every one of them. And though Jason might not be as smart as Batman or Riddler, he's definitely a lot more destructive and has a lot more knowledge in the field of combat, armor, and protection, which is ultimately what's important in this situation. And the thing is, with Bruce, he realizes and understands that this individual will go to great lengths just to kill him, which includes killing all of his loved ones. And let's be honest, he literally filled a city with an army of tanks, which maybe that says something. You can see in Bruce's eyes that realization when he's like, oh wait, he's here. And if he turns his back, maybe some militia guys are going to just grab Gordon and run off with him. You know, he has to be very aware and use that sense that he has to try and outsmart the situation. Luckily, Jason wanted a standoff and he wanted to reveal himself or whatever. So he didn't put any measure to capture Gordon even further, since it wasn't his objective. His objective was to get Batman in this place. That's why he kidnapped Gordon, because he knew that Batman would follow and show where he wants him. So now he's got what he wants. He has no reason to capture Gordon even further, kidnap him, no reason. But Batman doesn't know that. He doesn't know his true motive yet. He just knows that he's out to kill him, though he still doesn't rule off the fact that he might be looking to kill others as well, so he'll still protect them at all costs, which is ultimately what gets him in danger. Okay, one comment. As the camera revolves around there, there's a silence, a very powerful silence. We see this a lot in open world games. The silence is very important, especially ones that are filled with action and adventure. Those silences are used and crafted very wisely. And this is a great example of one, since the focal distance of the camera still focuses on Bruce as Batman, while Jason or the Arkham Knight sits in the background and slowly goes into focus, and Bruce is blurred.
Who are you?
The way that Conroy delivered that line is very well done. Just the tone is a mix of so many different emotions. He's confused, gobsmacked even, but he still tries to keep that assertive energy with him. But then again, Bruce is very aware that this guy in front of him is the only one pointing a gun. So right now, he does have the upper hand and the authority that comes with that. Yet still, Bruce's words work like magic.
You really have no idea, do you, Bruce?
I love the way that the voice transitions as he takes the helmet off. The camera slowly zooms in, speeding up with every second. The tension rises with the music in the background as it crescendos up to reveal this guy. Jason Todd. Bear in mind, this entire game, we thought that he was dead. He was being tortured by Joker. We've seen the pain that he's endured and his supposed death after that. Quite obviously, if you look at my about page on my channel, I myself and the content that I create is very positive. I'm one of the very few that don't have many criticisms about this game, because I know there's a lot of people who have quite a lot. I still have a few, but they're not that important. I would say I'm kind of the minority that just sees all the positives, which is very problematic at times, but right now, it's a game that's come out. I can't really say anything about it. I love it for what it is. Just want to clear that out of the way and say that I do love this game. So if anyone's out there and you love the game, great. If you have any criticisms, please leave it in the comments, because I actually like to read through them, though I might not agree, or I do agree with them, but I don't see them when I play the game. It's really cool to see what you guys think about the game itself and the analysis. Look at Jason's face. It's so broken. You can tell that he's breaking down inside right now because he's finally got what he wants, yet he feels so empty. It's that very interesting philosophy that when you're chasing your goals, you have so much dopamine going through you, so much motivation to reach it, and you're trying so hard, and you get the pain, and you endure the pain. But then once you reach that goal, you get the relief, you get all that euphoria, and then it dies down, and you realize there is no meaning to it because it's done. It's gone. That thing you've been chasing for so long, just like Jason right now, is over because you've reached it. You've got that. You've reached your goal. So that's why you've got to aim higher. And Jason realizes this halfway through the conversation. And as we see at the end of the game, he does actually listen to those positive thoughts. And I do call them positive because ultimately in the long run they are. But realistically, in the present, when they show up, they do seem quite negative. But then you look back at them and go, yeah, that is a positive thought after all because it changed me for the good. But that spark would probably appear through a thought of, oh, it's meaningless now, I have to do something better. This is over, this is done, leave it in the past. We have to strive for a bigger goal. And that goal is to become a vigilante by stopping them in their own ways, the way that ultimately that vigilante thinks is best, which is by ending them and ensuring that they experience the same trauma, tragedy, and torture that their victims did before they passed away. It's this moment that sparks the idea of the Red Hood fully. He's thought about it for a while, and that's been his ultimate goal, many people will theorize. But right now, when he reaches Bruce and he realizes that there's no meaning to kill him or anything because he's just going to be there's no real point. Once he shot him, it's over and done with. He has to have a higher goal. Now he's reached that goal. He's not exactly killed him yet, but he is there and he's confronted him and he's shown that he is Jason. Now there's nothing left to hide. He's Jason Todd. He's traumatized. He wants to shoot Batman, and then Batman Bruce, he's like, yeah, I'm aware of this. They both know what each other's motives are. And though Jason is presented as being too broken to understand Bruce's motives, ultimately in the back of his mind, and when he realizes, when he gets past that broken phase, he realizes at the ultimate end of things, they both knew each other transparently fully in this moment. Because deep down, deep rooted, he realizes and he understands that Bruce just wants what's best for him. And Bruce knows from his perspective that all Jason wants is to feel wanted and loved and needed, and that he can make a change as his own individual. The whole character of Jason is just a broken man who wants to feel like he's making the world a better place. And that's why he takes extreme measures as Red Hood to kill, torture, and murder these criminal scum, because he deems it fit to act in a way that many people would consider to be the easy way out. You know, you shot them, they're dead and they're gone. Whereas putting them in prison, a very secure prison at that, because the prisons are very secure, so that's another argument that Batman has. Putting them in those prisons would allow them to live, but on very small rations, while also feeling the pain of all those victims that he's experienced, and he's obviously hurt very much. So here we have it. Two individuals with different motives and different ways of acting about things, stood across from each other, kind of understanding each other in a weird way, a very confusing way that the game's story does really well.
You're dead.
Let's not fall out here, Bats.
And as he would, Joker pops in, but you hear that line there that Bruce says. He's in absolute disbelief. Jason, I thought you were dead. And you see Jason, he just keeps revolving round, putting the gun at supposedly Batman's weak spot, completely straight-faced, completely brainwashed and blinded by the idea and the goal to kill Bruce Wayne. And kill the idea of the Batman for good. But will he ever do that? No, even if he shot Bruce, Batman would never die. And though many people don't like Joker in this game, I honestly think he's hilarious. Obviously, people do think that. I think some people who have criticisms about Joker being in the game do enjoy his funny moments, but just don't like when he gets too much into the actual story. Because I've never seen someone complain about his jokes or his callbacks to the asylum. Like, they're always great little things to sprinkle in there, but I do know that some people don't like how involved he actually is in the overall story, which I can completely understand. It's very reasonable to say that, and it's actually a very good argument, to be fair. But in this scene, oddly enough, Joker actually raises the tension, because by diverting the attention away from Jason and Bruce for a minute for that comedic relief, it attempts to break the tension, but goes back on itself so incredibly that it actually inadvertently raises the tension. Well, that's how I felt in the scene anyway.
I might have told you a teeny tiny little lie.
The way that Joker's animated there, obviously it's in Batman's mind, but you can see he actually revolves around Jason, attempting to divert your eyes away from him and look at Joker. He's truly adding that comedic relief in this moment, and it's honestly orchestrated very intelligently, because he's dodging around the moment, and it just shows us how far gone Batman is with Joker in his mind, that he can't even shake him off even in a life-threatening situation. Honestly, the addition of Joker in this scene actually makes me like it even more and puts it up there on my Arkham series cutscene list, or whatever that means. Just the way that he's weaving in and out of the scene like a little snake, because he is, since he's deceiving both sides. He deceived Jason into hating Batman, and, though dead, infected Bruce's mind, and betrayed his, bear in mind, very thin line of trust that Bruce had with this odd hallucination thing going on. And I don't fully grasp the concept of how this actually works in the story. I do love the Arkham games, of course I do, but this is one thing that I don't really understand, so I'm not going to speak on as much because I don't want to just go off on a whole spiel about something that could be completely incorrect, because I'm not fully confident in my opinion or my view on it, because I don't really know how it works. Obviously this isn't Joker because he's dead, but then again he has these past memory, I don't know, but anyway, he's been deceived. He's deceived both sides, and that's what's important. So the symbolism here of him being a snake, because he's weaving in and out of the scene, really getting close to each and every character and not really being acknowledged or noticed because he's just in the background, pulling the strings from the sidelines, it really emphasizes that feeling and view of Joker being this little rat, this little snake who's deceiving each and every person and running off and telling others, because he's always been that character in his life as a whole. So to see that get carried on from beyond the grave is very well done by Rocksteady, something that they did really well in this game actually, in my opinion.
But come on, look at the boy. You did good. We did good.
Look at him trying to deceive him. Look at him, look at Jason in the background remaining that eye contact, continuing to point that weapon at him as the camera revolves. Revolving cameras are very interesting in media, because when done correctly, they can really make a scene work 10 times better than it would originally if you just use cuts between two different scene cameras. To have one revolving camera just going round as the other character's having a monologue and one of them is just stood there, not moving, standing his ground, it's very well orchestrated. And the revolving camera having Jason be there and then Joker and then the background being his base, it's as if the game is attempting to subtly show us that Joker created the Arkham Knight inadvertently but also very deliberately, and then the Arkham Knight, as the camera revolves around, we see the backdrop, we see the Arkham Knight's base. Behind Jason is the empire that he's built. Those symbols are very prevalent. There was a symbol here, there was a symbol a couple seconds ago. I personally think that the scene has been directed to give that feel, because it just seems like too much of a coincidence that Joker's there, and then behind him is his creation, and then behind him is his creation. It's showing us the domino effect, the chain reaction, and guess what? Who's in front of Joker? Batman, Bruce Wayne. Batman made the Joker the man who he was when he passed away. He gave him that attention and allowed him to grow over time. Never just putting an end to his life, constantly standing back to be detained, having hope in him, and it just made him more and more twisted. And now, because of all those times that they've interacted, that obviously led to Batman having Joker's blood inside of him and having these hallucinations once he'd passed. So it has even more depth now. It goes Batman, he created Joker, obviously in a very metaphorical way, then behind that, Jason Todd as Arkham Knight created by Joker, and then behind the Arkham Knight is the symbol of the man that he is now, and the base, the very backdrop, his domain that he created. Very well done.
You should be proud.
What's the matter? Lost for words? I expected more.
Jason Todd is questioning Batman because obviously he's being silent and he's allowing those thoughts to be vocal. He's obviously asking stupid questions, and Bruce is doing a great job of ignoring Joker. That's what's caused him to dissociate in that moment and not respond to Jason. But then again, it could also just be a strategy to just stay as still as possible to not, obviously, alarm anyone. It's ultimately a mix of two. Bruce is keeping quiet because he wants to contain and control his mind and drive it away from Joker. But then again, he's also being very strategic by staying still and not saying a word that could incriminate him or, obviously, get a rise out of Jason that could cause him to pull that trigger. So really, in retrospect, it shows the strength of Batman, the mental strength and the physical strength, how strong he is in the mind and how intelligent he is to understand the situation situation and act accordingly in the best way that he can.
I'm hurt.
Hear the way Jason just said, "I'm hurt." That is a heartbreaking line. He's asking these stupid questions, just throwing them out of his mind, what he's trying to vocalize, how he feels inside. And he just ends that. He ends that sentence with, "I'm hurt." And honestly, the voice actor, I forgot his name, but he does really great job at voicing Jason in this moment. The emotion that he pulls from in himself is very well vocalized in this scene. Even without the visuals, you can tell just by the audio which character is feeling what emotion, and the ability that they both have to drive and express several emotions through one quote, with the tone of it, the special effects behind it, the way that they've got to make their voice tingle in certain scenarios. That's amazing. Very talented. Anyway, the scene. If you think about it, the backstory of Jason, he has been building up this army for so long. I'm pretty sure it was in like South America. I think he was training soldiers or something. Secret military base. And now he's brought them in, all this tech, and it's just been ripped from under him by one singular man. He's been chasing Bruce Batman for so long to enact his revenge. He's lost everything. Honestly, thousands of troops have been detained, injured, said to never walk again, all thanks to this one man. The tanks, thousands of those too, they've all been destroyed. When you think of all the effort that Jason has put in because he was brainwashed by one man, how much damage that he's done, the people who he's teamed up with, and the pain he's enacted on the weak and innocent, all to get to this one moment just shows how broken he truly is. Obviously, he's in the wrong completely. He can be arrested, detained for all the bad things that he's done. He's killed people. But it's always important in every scenario to understand the villain's point of view, especially when it's media like this. You can really play around with it. It's not like it's a real case. Real innocent people haven't died, so you can really digest and understand the villain's point of view in this scenario. 90% of the time, even in real life, crimes enacted on people are driven by an outside force. What leads killers to pull the trigger? Ultimately, it all comes from what has happened previously behind them in the past. And it's really heartbreaking to hear about. So you can see in this situation, and we actually have tapes, we know exactly near enough what happened to him, all the torture that he went through that caused him to be this individual with so much violence and rage in his system that he's trying to get out through damaging people's lives and attempting to reach this goal. I'm not going to say that you can't help but feel for him, but you definitely can't help but understand the situation. At the end of the day, Red Hood is a really good vigilante. He's a very well written character in most of the comics, and you know, the story's a bit rocky in the Arkham series, but he is a good character and cool to play as, yes. But the person behind that mask is not as innocent, and that says a lot, doesn't it? Red Hood is definitely not innocent. He kills people, he murders in the future. Still, from now, this is him as the Arkham Knight, and then he becomes the Red Hood and kills all those villains. Yes, he may be doing God's work because he's saving innocents from dying. He's still killing people, but we can kind of push that aside for a minute, because the man beneath it, he's the one. He has killed innocent people because he was that villain, that broken, destroyed, shattered soul. And to have that all expressed through this scene with all the backstory that we know and everything that happens in the future, this is a pivotal moment in his life that he would remember until he eventually passes.
I saw him kill you.
Don't you dare lie to me!
Look at that body language. He still keeps that gun trained on him, but it does slip for a minute. And Jason knows that in that split second that he lifted the gun up, Bruce could have just grabbed him, pushed him to the ground and just beat him, but he didn't. He stayed there. So he's getting angry and he's really shaking that gun. You can tell that I'm doing it behind the camera, trying to emphasize this scene. He leaps forward. He really wants to attack. All that pain is coming out. The rage is building up inside of him and he's ready to fight because he just jumped. You see the way that he jumped, that language there, that body language, that he jumps forward with the gun in hand and is so driven by his rage that he can't help but just sporadically jump forward and just lose all concentration and focus on pointing that gun. He feels so lost in a world that he doesn't think understands him, because most of the time they don't understand him. There are people out there who will, psychiatrists, therapists who may understand his situation and will try to help, but he's not willing to take that chance because he just can't find it. If he can't find it quickly, there's no point. He doesn't want that now. He just wants to get it out, live in this world where he thinks that no one understands him because he's not willing to get close. He just wants to kill the bat. And the way that Bruce is standing, he's still very confident. His posture is very healthy and straight. He's standing tall and showing that he's not going to cave. He won't be fearful. He's not going to get down on his knees and beg. He does care for Jason and he really wants the best for him. But he knows that at the end of the day, he's the one pointing the gun. So he has to stay strong and be vigilant, because at any second he could pull that trigger. Cowering in fear will just give him what he wants, allowing the pain and the anger to be even more powerful, because the dopamine will rise, because he's getting to that goal moment, like I said, when he reaches that goal and he has that huge dopamine boost and he feels amazing, and then he just all crashes down and he realizes there's nothing left now. But ultimately this scene is pivotal, since it leads to him going full force in the Red Hood storyline, new chapter of his life. Honestly, I think that if he didn't reach this moment and they didn't have this standoff, he'd still be chasing Bruce and therefore wouldn't have had that moment at this exact specific time where he decided to become that vigilante and ultimately save Bruce at the end of the game by shooting from afar and disarming Scarecrow. So without this happening, without Batman taking out all those troops, making Jason very angry and causing him to jump down and surprise attack him, this would not have happened and the story itself would have been changed forever. So it's a very particular scenario that honestly is beneficial in the end. Yes, it's scary, and if anyone else was there and Bruce was your loved one, someone who you cared about, just like Barbara does, Tim does, Selina does in most scenarios, it'd be heartbreaking to see where the individual you deem to be very strong and very good at handling situations just stand there not showing any emotion. And though it's still powerful and it's better than cowering, which would make it even worse, he still stood there defenseless, not doing anything. Imagine an aggressive individual charging at someone who you love and they just stand there and do nothing. A gun pointed at their head, they're not fighting back. It's truly heartbreaking to think about. Anyway, I've lost my point, so I don't know what I was going to say, but I think you can kind of connect the dots there and understand. I don't know, let's just keep going.
How long did you wait before replacing me, huh? A month? A week? I trusted you!
And you see Bruce there, his eye contact is still very sharp, and he's keeping himself trained on him and that gun. Because obviously Bruce knows that any subtle movement, anything from his end could set Jason off, and from Jason's end could signal to Bruce that he may initiate some form of attack within the next couple of milliseconds. So the animators here did a very great job of visualizing this very important scene, and the body language is very well animated because it's very realistic, isn't it? And though it was probably mocapped, yes, the actors who did the mocap also huge props, but the animation team who actually had to do all the facial expressions and fine-tune them to ensure that they were at their best quality and most realistic, huge props to everyone. Great job. I always say that about teams on games, media, all that stuff.
And you just left me to die!
That's not what happened.
You always told me, Bruce.
That assertiveness in his voice there, he's actually getting annoyed. Bruce is getting kind of upset about things because he really wants Jason to know, and he really wants Jason to understand this and snap out of it. But at the back of his mind, Bruce does know that he may be acting a bit out of control here and not fully thinking through his actions before saying things because he's so trained on that gun, attempting to protect his own life while also trying to listen and then responding. If you thought about it a little bit more, obviously you can't right now, just saying, not in this moment, but if you were to think about it with your full conscious mind, you would realize that the best way to do it would not be to freak out. Obviously, it's a very sudden movement. That's one thing, but I'm more or less leading towards that he could have acted in a better way in this situation. Obviously, you always can. You'll always look back on things in the shower and go, hey, I could have said that to that guy. We can't look back right now. We can only analyze what's going on screen, which is obviously that action, but it's very out there and will rile him up a little bit. But you can see the frustration though. It's very understandable, Bruce's frustration with this situation right now.
Focused on what I want to achieve, and it'll happen. You wanna know what I want now?
Remaining calm, keeping that composure as he approaches. The eye contact is still very prominent. Just shows the absolute willpower of Bruce. You see that in this incredibly dangerous scenario, how similarly incredible he is at handling it.
I want you dead.
Boom. There's the chance that he gets. When Jason points that gun to his chin and presses it up against him, Bruce's eyes widen. They do. He does genuinely for a second have that short-lived emotion of fear. But he knows that if he remained calm, he would eventually have his time to strike, and he did. Very well done. And I think it's a really great way to break the scene apart. It's a great way to end that and break the tension and finally get to that one shining moment that this entire scene was leading up to. Look at him. Look how angry he is. He finally had him in his grasp. He was so close. Yet he failed once again. Like I said, Jason has trained for so long. Not just himself, but he's trained others and built up this entire army to swarm Gotham and kill Batman in a dazzling final display. But no, he's failed once again. Every single time that he's gone and chased after him, even when he had him there, pinned down to the floor. And that scene, that was the closest that he got to killing Batman, but he gave it time. And now he's there and he's failed once again. He's thinking to himself, he's angry. He's like, every single time I've lost, and the one time that I did have him, I just screwed up and I left it. And he's blaming himself in his mind. You can just tell by the way that he's acting erratically in anger. He's saying to himself, that one time that I had him, I let him go and I shouldn't have. I've tried to tease it and make it easier because I want to have a really extravagant moment, just like this one, where it's me versus him, and I get to have my monologue and then finally kill him. And then another thought swings by. You've let this operation go kablammy once again. The second time that you had, you blew it again. And now you're never going to get that chance, or at least it'll take a while, to get that third chance to kill Batman. And ultimately, because of how close they got this time, and how he really could have, like they both had a fighting chance against each other, it wasn't just one of them pinning the other one down. This one was very much those two. Equals in a standoff. It's a different tone for a scene because of how long it was dragged on for, and how silent that it was. It was simply just them two. Gordon had ran off, the rest of them were incapacitated, there's no one there, there's no audience, it's just those two individuals. That's what makes this scene so much more powerful in Jason's mind in comparison to the other one where he had him pinned down to the floor.
Can't hide from me! I will hunt you down!
Never mind, Gordon hadn't run off. Sorry, my bad. Oh, the tension. Yes. Oh. That is such a badass moment where he finally rips off that mask. He's no longer the Arkham Knight. He is the Red Hood. And he's driven now. He's had enough. No more playing around. If he sees him, it's shoot to kill. He's no longer waiting for a big moment to stand off and kill him in a sea of glory. He's literally just gonna kill him now. He's not bothered. All bets are off. It's time to end this for good. A very triumphant moment. In this scene, from start to finish, the tension rises and we see the reveal. The tension rises even more and is broken up by Joker, and the symbolism is very prevalent. And then Bruce quite literally breaks the tension by headbutting him and sending him off. And then the tension rises once again for a third time as he rips that mask off and his new persona is born. How about that, eh? That was an amazing scene. And the way that it all builds up. And the moment as the camera revolves round and the character, the idea, the whole entire kabloomity blam of Red Hood walks around wandering, seeking and searching for his arch nemesis. This was a great scene and I hope you guys enjoyed. Click a video on screen that best suits you. The one on the right was picked by YouTube just for you and one on the left is my most recent video. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. Another overworld masterpiece that I've analyzed. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay positive. Goodbye.